What is up, you guys? It's Brady here with bradyoakfitness, and in this video we are going to talk about how to balance running and lifting and how to get the most out of each modality of fitness without kind of interfering with each other, and especially how to not lose all your muscle while you're running. So let's get into it. For all my new viewers, I love all aspects of fitness. Recently I've been really into bodybuilding the past few years, and I even competed in my first men's physique and classic physique competition this past October. But I really do love all aspects of fitness, which is why I've decided to challenge myself and become more of a hybrid athlete, getting into running and other things like that. I'm currently training for a half and full marathon, and I'm doing all of that while still chasing down my bodybuilding goals. So we're going to talk about how I've been able to balance that, how if you have interest in being more of a hybrid athlete and training more for performance and things like that, then we're going to dive into how you can effectively do that through your training, your nutrition, all of that without, getting too good at one and sucking out the rest, things like that. We're gonna talk about just balancing it out. So this morning I actually hit a sick arm workout. It was such an amazing workout, and I was able to get an insane pump, push solid weight, lots of volume, high intensity. And that style of training looks so much different than when I'm outside running for 45 minutes or on the treadmill. So the first thing I want to bring up is what's called in exercise science as the SAID principle. The SAID principle, or the SAID principle, stands for specific adaptations to imposed demands. Now what that means is simply your body will adapt to whatever stimulus you give it. So if you are lifting weights and you're giving your body a reason through lifting weights to add more muscle mass, then your body's gonna add more muscle mass. So, things like lifting weights heavy, going to near failure, lifting enough volume, eating high protein. You're doing all these things in your training to give your body a stimulus to grow, and then it does. Same thing with running. If you're trying to get better at running, you're going to give it a specific imposed demand, right? So that stimulus is going to be running. So your body's going to find a way to get better at running. So knowing this, we know that whatever we give our body, it's going to adapt to it. So what's the issue with being a hybrid athlete is you're giving your body a bunch of different stimuluses, and they truly are different. Running does not demand a lot of muscle mass. You don't need sick biceps or huge lats or capped delts to run a marathon. Okay, you need those slow twitch muscle fibers, lots of mitochondria. You need muscles that can work very efficiently with the oxygen and the fuel that you're giving it, versus muscle mass where you don't really need that. So we see that these are two extremely different stimuluses. So for instance, if you're trying to maintain as much muscle mass as possible, maybe even build muscle while getting better at running, then you can't have lifting over here, running over here. You can't be running a ton at a high intensity and not lifting very much, because then you're gonna get really good at that, and then you're gonna lose a lot of muscle mass and not be able to build much muscle at all. So what you need to do is prioritize a little bit. Now I'm going to prioritize muscle building and strength training because yes, although I want to be better at running, I am more concerned about maintaining my physique and making it better than I am trying to run a sub 3-hour marathon or anything like that. So what I'm doing is I am focusing higher intensity and higher volume to my weightlifting, and that's going to be a key for maintaining muscle mass. Muscle mass, as we know, or as you've hopefully learned from all my videos where I've talked about this, muscle is built from mechanical tension, which is a balance of intensity and volume. Volume is the amount of sets that you're doing per week per muscle group. The intensity is the proximity to failure that you're going per set, also can be seen as just your overall effort. If we're using a lot of effort for a lot of volume for muscle building, then we're going to maintain that muscle mass. And obviously, nutrition does play a role in that. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But I still want to get better at running, so what do I do? Well, luckily with running, it's a lot different than muscle building, because muscle building, you do need pretty high intensity, pretty high volume. To get better at running, you actually don't need really high intensity. You probably could work up to high volume, but as long as that intensity is managed, then things are gonna be okay. So with running specifically, what I've been focused on is low intensity. And it actually works out great because that low intensity builds a really nice aerobic base. So my runs are very slow. And honestly, I've seen a lot of slow progress, but steady progress by doing this. I run very slow now. I used to never run slower than like 8.5 minute mile pace for several miles. Now I'm literally running at like a 10 mile pace. Very, very slow, but it's effective. And so I'm running slow, but I'm slowly increasing the volume. But because the intensity is so low, it's not interfering with the muscle building, which is still the highest imposed demand, you could say, for my body to prioritize and adapt to. So my best advice for this is basically to summarize what I've said. Keep your lifting at a priority by keeping the intensity and the volume high. Keep your running high volume. You can slowly build up the volume, but keep the intensity mostly low. Now, if you want to get faster at running, you can slowly start incorporating higher intensity sessions. I'm currently running around 225 minutes a week, 4 days a week. So some of my runs are 45 minutes, some are 30, some are like 25 minutes. And doing that all low intensity sessions, I have actually not seen any negative impact on my muscle mass, strength, nothing. In fact, I'm actually getting a lot stronger right now. Part of that has to do with nutrition, which we're going to talk about next. But yeah, I'm also lifting 5 days a week, lifting high intensity, reps in reserve of about 1 to 3, like hardcore stuff, and I'm sleeping great and I'm eating right. So that's the training side of things. Now on to the nutrition side, which is going to be not, honestly speaking, not as important, but still very important. So with nutrition, typically a runner will go like high carb, moderate fat, moderate protein, but because you're a hybrid athlete, you really can't do that. You do need to keep the carbs as high as possible, and you're gonna have to keep the fats as moderate as possible because fats are essential, but the protein has to stay high. So I still eat about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, somewhere in the ballpark of 170 grams of protein every single day. This is gonna be crucial for maintaining and building muscle mass while we're running. But then obviously, you still have to keep the carbs high. So the best way to do this is, guys, honestly, to be at least at maintenance, but preferably in a caloric surplus. If you plan on running and lifting weights and maintaining or building muscle, if you're in a caloric deficit, the running, you might feel a little bit more fatigued and maybe recover a little bit slower. But other than that, it won't impact the running that much. But if you're trying to build muscle and you're in a caloric deficit, it's probably not going to happen unless you're like a beginner or have just the most godly genetics ever. It's probably not gonna happen. So the caloric deficit is gonna be way harsher on the muscle side of things than the running. So what we need to do is we need to be in a maintenance or caloric surplus. That's gonna allow your body to see that it has an excess of energy and put some of it towards that building muscle while still giving your body plenty of fuel for your workouts and your runs. Past month, I've gained maybe 2 pounds, which I think is a great rate, maybe less, honestly. I'm not really sure. That's a really steady, slow progress. I'm not gaining like 20 pounds a month or anything like that. So there you have it with nutrition, guys. You have to keep the protein high. Unlike a typical endurance athlete, you gotta keep the protein high, carbs high, and fats moderate, but altogether you should probably be in a surplus, and that's gonna help you maintain the muscle mass while still progressing in all aspects of your training. Well, guys, that pretty much covers it, but thank you so much for watching. And if you have any further questions regarding hybrid style of training or the nutrition or training behind it all, just leave a comment down below and I'll definitely get to your question. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And yeah, you're gonna see this whole journey of trying to become a better runner, but also a better bodybuilder, and altogether just a better, student of fitness. But yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys, and we will see you in that next one. Peace out.